Hey guys, Ryan here. After the recent patch they had yesterday, I wanted to talk about what I think is the new long range meta. I'm going to be covering what I think are the best options to use right now, and if you're curious about any of the attachments, look down below in the description. I also just want to take this time to say thank you so much for helping me pass 1,000 subscribers. It means the world to me, and I just cannot believe the community I have. So having said all of that, let's get into it. The very first gun we're going to talk about is the one that was buffed the most in the recent patches, and that's going to be the STG. I'm not going to say that STG is outright the best assault rifle in the game right now, but they really did buff it a significant amount, and it's worth trying out. It has pretty low recoil, it has good mobility, and it has really good damage. I really enjoy using this gun, and as you can see in the background clip, it just melts people at almost all ranges. I think for some people, the visual recoil may be a little too much and they're going to prefer something like the Cooper Carbine. And I think for other people, the damage is going to be lacking in comparison to something like the XM4 or PKM. But overall, I'd highly recommend giving it a try and figuring out if it works for you and your playstyle. At number 2, we're going to have the Cooper Carbine. Now, to me, this is kind of a personal favorite, and I think this is the one people may enjoy the most. The damage is not too insane, but it has super low recoil. It's super easy to control, and overall I really just enjoy the feel of this gun. The other main benefit that this gun has is I also think it's the best assault rifle to use on console. Because console has a lower field of view than PC players, they often experience more visual recoil with their guns, and something like the Cooper Carbine performs extremely similar to the Automaton, but it comes with a lot less visual recoil, and that is a major positive that cannot be overlooked. That's why I'd heavily recommend the Cooper for almost anyone, and you just have to be aware that the damage isn't the best, but it's also one of the easiest guns to hit your shots with, and that's the main strength. Get in good positioning, don't put yourself in a bad position, and you will be rewarded for using this gun. However, the Cooper is lacking in damage, and that's going to lead me to my next couple options on this list. The first two we're going to talk about are going to be the XM4 and the Vargo 52. So because they ended up nerfing the Cold War AK, I think that the Vargo 52 and XM4 are going to ultimately be a little better if you're looking for a Cold War assault rifle. The Vargo 52 has a little less damage than the XM4, but it's a little easier to control recoil wise, and I think that's the main benefit. If you're someone who enjoys Cold War assault rifles, if you're kind of looking for something similar to the Cold War AK after its nerf, I'd heavily recommend the XM4. And if you're looking for something that's overall very similar to the Cooper and the STG, try the Vargo 52 out. It's a great gun, it has low recoil, it has good damage, it's just super good to use, and it's one of those guns that I just really enjoy because of the feel. I cannot stress this whole feel thing enough. If a gun doesn't feel good, if the recoil is too intense, if the visual recoil is too intense, what is the purpose of using it? For these two, the XM4 and the Vargo 52, they feel amazing. The Vargo feels a little bit better at longer ranges, the XM4 feels a little bit better in the mid-range, but overall, they just feel amazing, and I'd heavily recommend for people to use either of them. And that's going to lead me into my next two, the PKM and the Bruen. Of all the guns on this entire list I'm going to talk about, the fastest killing guns by far are going to be these two. When you're just looking at the objective stats, these things are melt machines and are 100% worth using. I am an insanely aggressive player. I have a 3.4 KD on Caldera, I have a 3.0 KD on Rebirth, and I play super aggressive. I play for high kill games, and the wins of course too, but I am using the PKM extremely effectively as an aggressive player. People say the gun is not mobile enough, that the reload time is an issue, but I promise if you put Sleight of Hand, if you use the build I have for it, you are not going to notice those things, and you are just going to notice how powerful the gun is. I want you to just pay attention to the clip that's going to happen in about 5 seconds or so, because you're just going to see how good this thing is. It doesn't matter if people are at 50 meters, if people are up close like they are in this clip, this gun will dominate, and because of the insanely high time to kill and the insanely good damage, you will eviscerate with this thing. The only difference that the Bruen has is it's a little bit more mobile in the end, and that is inevitably actually a major bonus in favor of the Bruen, but the PKM has a little bit better damage range and just a little bit better damage overall, so that is something to consider. The Bruen's more mobile and the PKM has more damage, but overall they're both outright insane and both insanely broken. So this last one is going to be a trio. It's going to be the Grau, the Ram 7, and the AMAX. I am going to talk about some honorable mentions after, but the reason I'm going to group these three together is because they kind of fill different roles, but I feel like they're all very similar effectiveness. And it's all going to kind of depend on what you're used to and your play style. So essentially the way it works is the Grau is going to be the best for the long range, the AMAX is going to be the best for the mid range, and the Ram 7 is going to be the best short and kind of mid range combo. So if you're an aggressive player, I would really recommend kind of the more Ram 7 and AMAX type assault rifle. And if you're a more conservative player who likes to get good positioning and you want a low recoil gun similar to the Cooper, then try the Grau. The reason I have them below the PKM and the Bruen inevitably is because I just feel like the Bruen and PKM do their jobs a little better, and statistically they pack a little bit more damage than the Ram 7 and AMAX. But if you like the mobility of those assault rifles and just the overall feel, they're really, really good, and I actually really enjoyed using them. So this is going to lead me into my honorable mentions. So at number 1, we're going to have the Cold War AK. Number 2, the Bar. Number 3, the Automaton. Number 4, the AS44. And number 5, the DP27. Even though the Cold War AK was nerfed, it's still really, really good, and you're going to be fine with using it. The Bar has a little bit too much recoil, but is actually really enjoying it. And the AS44 is kind of similar. The damage on the AS44 is insane. It's just so tough to control, and anything beyond 30-40 meters is almost impossible to really hit. The DP27 is super reliable and kind of slept on, but it's just one of those guns where the reload time is a little obnoxious. I'm going to start wrapping this video up, and I just once again want to say thank you so much for helping me pass 8,000 subscribers. I can actually start making money off my YouTube now, and that means the world to me, and I owe it all to my awesome community and all of the people who have supported me thus far. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's been Ryan. Peace.